I'm going to do an insight video today. A lot of the stuff I've done a lot about lately has been about like realization and self-realization principles and awareness, because this is something I come across related to someone called Sarah Landon, who's like a channel for something called the Council, and it just made sense. Some of the stuff that the principles are coming through, and a lot of the journey that I'm doing, and I feel like my own expansion is all around oneness. It's about sort of like non-separation, and it's around sort of like union and being present and creation, and the fact that this is not limited. This is an infinite source that all beings are able to access and be aligned with. But we're all channels as well. You need the word channel. It's been used a lot for like people that are like mediums and sort of healers, and but in theory that we're all like the same. We're all sort of like these source beings. So in a sense, we're all channels. It's just finding that kind of your own process of how you receive and how you sort of express and stuff like that. But we're all channels and we're all creators. So at the end of the day, sort of like oneness is about that. It's about the understanding that none of us are separate, none of us are greater than anybody else. We're all the same, and but we're all sort of like got our own sort of like keys of consciousness that we're sort of like that we're sort of like expressing, and we're all sort of like part of the same consciousness, and that nothing is separate. And this is the same for beings within different realities and dimensions as well. You talk about teachers, guides, angels. Uh, they're all sort of like consciousness and creation, and they're all sort of we're conscious and creation. We're all the same. It's just that we're in a different reality here than they are. But we're all the same energy. We're all the same light. We're all the same sort of frequency. Not frequency here now, but we're all sort of made of the same frequency, which is source energy. So like self-realization principles are a good way of sort of like they bring awareness, and I quite like them because when I first started on this journey, a lot of people talked about like universal laws, and I started sort of like looking into the universal laws a little while ago, and I felt like I was getting connected to like ascended masters, and sort of like started to delve into the ascended masters. But the self-realization principles, which there's 15 of them, I quite like them because they're like consciousness and creation, but they're vibration and frequency, and with the universal laws as well. When I started to look into them more and more, they always like link back into oneness. And you could always see how that like if through oneness, how everything was connected, nothing was separate. And this is why I feel like oneness is like the journey that we're all on, but specifically, it's one of those journeys that resonates deeply with me. Um, and sort of like, so the first principle talks about your everything you wish to be, you already are. And that to me is oneness in its sort of like it talks about oneness there, because what it's saying is like you're everything you wish to be, you already are. There's nowhere to get, there's nowhere to arrive. You are this perfect being of creation and consciousness, of source energy and source frequency, and you already are. So, whatever you're trying to attain or create or manifest, that ability, that infinite potential in this now moment, which is another one, the power of now, another principle, the power of now. All of your power is in the now moment, which is saying like now here, you already are. You already everything that you ever wanted to be. You already are, and it's like this understanding again. And another principle talks about everything is always happening for you, through you and as you. It's not happening to you. So again, that's another principle. And again, as you see, as I start to talk about this, and this is how oneness works, is when you start to like align with that now moment and that now frequency, that now vibration. Oneness is everywhere. It's awareness of oneness is in every sort of like every vibration, every frequency, and that's these beings in these infinite realms sort of know this already. They know that there's no separation. It's only when we come and we sort of like we focus our source energy. This is another one that when you focus source energy, you are source energy focused into this physical reality. And this is what you are, source energy. And again, that tells you that you are connected to your infinite self, this oneness, vibration and frequency that is in all things of creation, which is source. And you start to go through it, and this is why I wanted to talk about oneness, because this is how it happens. And I feel like, especially for myself, I feel like We're all channels for oneness, and oneness is the key. And they talk about principles. Universal laws is that that it talks about oneness, and then like self-realization talks about many aspects, but they're all aspects of oneness, and that this is the understanding that oneness is this source energy, this source essence that each and every being has, and we're all that's all our essence. So you are oneness. You can't be anything else. You are That's what you are. So for me, it's like, again, and that's another principle. You see, every time I'm talking about these principles coming in, and another principle says you get more of what you are, not what you want. So again, it's saying oneness is there, the infinite possibilities, the infinite potentials of creation and consciousness, to receive them as a channel, so express them and receive them, so receive and express them. And it's this natural cycle, and this is oneness again, which is this source energy. So oneness is the infinite vibration of frequency, the consciousness, and source is the infinite essence, the energy of creation. And oneness is like the consciousness of that creation, and they work together in perfect union and harmony. And this is the shift, and again, it's a shifting again. So you start looking at oneness, because before, when we look at oneness, we start again, and I've talked about this many times before, but I feel like in oneness again, we start talking about dimensions. So we start about one, first, second, or we talk about the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then we go for these higher dimensions, or these infinite dimensions, not higher, infinite dimensions. But oneness isn't like that. Oneness is this infinite frequency that's ever expanding and always evolving. So again, it's like, this first principle says you're everything you wish to be, you already are. But what that means by that, it doesn't mean that you arrive somewhere. It means that infinite potential is always there. It means that creative expression is always there. That oneness vibration is always there within you. That within your energy, within your consciousness, it's always available. It's like this loving parent, this consciousness, this creation, this energy that's always there, this source energy. It's always there. It's always supporting you. It's always allowing you to open. It's always allowing you to express, and to expand. And expansion is really important. The more we expand consciousness and creation, the more we expand these frequencies and these vibrations, the more awareness we get. And this is what when people talk about self mastery, I actually don't like the word self mastery. I don't like the word master, teacher. I don't like any of that. And this again, this is my own personal preference. Everybody's got their own pathway to walk, and it's just something that doesn't resonate with me. And when I go into oneness, it's just that things are just where they are, and they are where they are because of what you are at that moment. What you're creating. Now, it doesn't make one better or greater than the other. It just makes you where you are there. And at the end of the day, oneness is this infinite frequency that's always expanding, and it can always expand and evolve and express many different realities, many different dimensions at once. And it also holds the vibrations of these many different realities and consciousness and creation. It holds all consciousness and all creation within that oneness vibration, that oneness frequency, which is the one which is creation, which is source energy, which is consciousness, which is infinite consciousness. And each and every one of us has an infinite self, and that infinite self is connected to that oneness vibration, that oneness frequency. And oneness is all there is to me. I mean, that's all there is. At the end of the day, but it gets like complicated when you try and define it within human thought. When you're trying to look at it. So me, like, oneness is all that there is. So what that means by that is the infinite moment, the eternal moment that's always expanding and expressing, and each and every one of us vibrate in that moment. And then what we do is, through our expression, our creation and consciousness and awareness, then our reality is like created within that oneness moment, but it's created by our consciousness, by our frequency. And each and every one of us are in that frequency. We are part of that oneness frequency. We are part of that source frequency. And that's where the non-separation comes in. And oneness, to me, because that's the first principle, the universe principle, all is one, or the oneness vibration, or oneness frequency. To me, that you start with that, and then everything else is within that. Nothing is separate from that. So for me, all other things are are sort of like part of that oneness vibration, that frequency. And that's why I say there's no separation. It's like I vibrate here now talking about oneness, but as I vibrate here, myself, my infinite self is connected to source energy in that oneness vibration there, but also here. And this is like the multi-dimensional reality, the multi-dimensional experience, because the oneness vibration is all things, everything at once. There is nothing separate. And again, source is like this. Source vibrates. It source is this infinite expression of vibration and frequency of all creation in that moment. And that's what each and every one of us are. So your soul here now is in that oneness moment, is still connected to that oneness moment, connected to source and the infinite vibration of frequencies. And this is where we start looking at sort of, the universal laws. They talk about transmutation and transformation. That is an understanding that oneness vibration frequency is available. The infinite potential is always available in the now moment, and each and every one of us as beings can access that. Another principle it talks about is like, if your frequency and your vibration, your consciousness is high, and it remains at a level or a state, your well-being is self-assured. So it knows that your well-being is self-assured. So it's understanding that all things are happening for you, not to you. And again, that's that principle. All things are happening for you, not to you. And they're working through you, as you, and for you. As you are the universe and the universe is you. And again, these are the kind of oneness sort of statements of vibration and frequency. Like the I am creation consciousness. People talk about I am presence and I am consciousness. Well, you say I am, then you are in that moment. That oneness vibration right here, right now, is already created. And it's the understanding that that's already created. In the formless realities, that is created. And all you have to do is step into it. And you step into it by creating more of what you are. Like that principle again, more of what you are, not what you want. So if you want to, so if you're that reality is what you want to create, or not create, but that reality is what you want to create. Yeah, I'll use the word want, even though it says that statement, but it's what you are. So again, it's like you create it, and then you embody it, you live it. And when you do that, it's not that you want something, you're creating it and expressing a vibration, a frequency of what you are. And the universe reflects directly to that. Or consciousness and creation directly align with that. Everything aligns with what you are in this now moment. Everything aligns with that. And this is the key to creation. This is the key to consciousness. And that's another principle. It says all consciousness. So like consciousness is, start with consciousness that creates energy into form, into reality. So it's like consciousness, energy, form, reality. And that's like the formula for creation. And that's consciousness again, which is consciousness is the vibration, the frequency of oneness within that now moment. And again, you see these principles and they're all interlinked. And this is the key thing to me. When you start on this journey and you really expand and you really allow that which you are to come in and flow, and in that oneness moment, that oneness, that now moment, how beautiful. There's so many possibilities. The world is a beautiful and infinite place of possibilities and potentials, and all we have to do is align with them. Well, that's the insight for today. The insight was about oneness today. I was going to talk about principles, but it's oneness definitely, and that as it should be, because oneness is the infinite power of now moment that creates that is the energy, the vibration, the frequency of all reality, of all creation, of all consciousness. All right, please subscribe, like, comment. Have a great day. Bye for now.